Metamorphosis is when one thing or person changes into a whole nother thing or person by natural or supernatural means. And you know, when you're trying to make changes in your life, it can seem like it takes supernatural effort sometimes, doesn't it? We have such a desire to try to get from where we are to some other place, but the effort that it takes to change can truly be extraordinary. You know, there's times in our lives that we make individual transformation. Perhaps you're getting ready for a graduation, and there's a suit or a dress that you want to fit into. And you're thinking this picture's going to be there for years. Maybe it's a wedding suit, wedding dress. I've seen people drop down a bazillion sizes, not eat for a week just to get into this dress, just to transform, just long enough to get into that dress. And sometimes the transformation doesn't even last to the reception. They've already switched clothes to something else there. But you're trying to change. You're trying to change and become something else. Now, some people are unwilling to change because they feel that being asked to change is almost like a personal affront. How can you ask me to change, to become something different, as if something is wrong with me? Well, when we're looking to change, it's not that anything is wrong with any of us. We're all perfect in our own way. We're all really good at a variety of different things. And we're all loved by people in our circle for the things that we bring to the table. So considering the possibility of change doesn't mean that something's wrong with you or wrong with me or that we're bad. But just like that wedding suit or that wedding dress, is it possible to have a best version of ourselves? Well, sure. Change is good, especially when we are becoming better. See, when you think about becoming your best you, as opposed to just being our best you, if we accept the fact that, well, I'm here, I'm already as good as I'm ever going to get, we're erasing the possibility for getting better. So we don't just want to just be at SLS. We want to become at SLS. We want to become the best possible version of ourselves. We want to experience metamorphosis. And when you think about metamorphosis, there's a creature which probably comes to mind, and that's the caterpillar. When's the last time you saw a caterpillar? The caterpillar is just moving along on a little twig or a leaf, and we might think to ourselves, what purpose does the caterpillar have in its day-to-day life? Turns out the caterpillar has just one job, and that's to eat. I'll tell you a fact about a caterpillar. A caterpillar will actually grow to over 1,000 times its size when it was born. Why does it do that? Because it consumes 27,000 times its own body weight. The caterpillar's got one job, and that's to eat. What's the lesson in that? If we want to become our best version of ourselves, we're going to have to eat. And what are we going to have to consume? We're going to have to consume knowledge, information. We're going to have to consume it and then use wisdom. See, knowing something is one thing, that's just knowledge. Knowing how to apply it, that's wisdom. So we got to watch what we eat. If we have a steady diet of nonsense, then the only thing that we can bring to the table is nonsense. But if we consume true food, true nourishment, if we consume books, and if we consume accurate information, that's the fuel that we need in order to grow. But we've got to make sure that we're eating from pure sources. Sometimes a mistake that we make is we we eat at the wrong mental restaurant. Sometimes I'm talking to a person and they'll say, I saw on the internet thus and such. And I always ask them, the internet is pretty much anybody's opinion. Are you sourcing that information? Was it the Associated Press? Was it Reuters? Was it NPR? Was it the BBC? Or was it Mike's blog? See, if you're eating information, you got to make sure that you're consuming information that is accurate. And that helps us to grow properly. See, a caterpillar will shed its skin 6 to 7 times during its lifetime. Because knowledge makes you grow, and you have to outgrow old ways of thinking. Many times, if we're not careful, we're not going to buy new emotional clothes. If you interact with many people, unfortunately, their body is 40, but their emotions are 23. You've got to make sure that your emotional clothes are growing and you're shedding the old clothes and putting on new ones. See, do we have adult work ethic? Are we wearing those emotional clothes? Or are we adults wearing teenage clothes when it comes to work ethic? See, young folks, they don't like work all that much. Anybody have some children? Many times children don't like work when you're very, very young. Even small jobs, like cleaning up your toilet. Oh, I don't want to do any work. And then as children start to get a little bit older, they'll do the work begrudgingly. Go clean your room. They'll do it because they have to. Now when they start to figure out that you can get paid to work, in young adulthood, they have some goals, they want to buy a car. Now, they work with a little bit more of a smile on their face, but it's a challenge because young people always have fun looming in the background. Oh, they're supposed to go to work, but there's a basketball game down at the gym. How can I get out of work and go over to have some fun? But adults come to love work because they understand what work can do for themselves and their family. See, when your emotional clothes fit, no one has to drag you to work. You're looking for things that you can do. You're looking for activity, looking for growth. So make sure that you've got a good pair of emotional clothes. Emotionally healthy people are positive. Are you a positive force? Are you a positive person? See, when you are healthy emotionally yourself, it allows you to be healthy in other relationships that you have. So, if you don't like your emotional clothes, change them. Outgrow them. Get them tailored to fit so that you are emotionally prepared to grow. See, another fact about a caterpillar is that a caterpillar's first meal is its own shell. Think about that for a second. A caterpillar understands the need for nourishment so much instinctually that the first thing it eats is the thing that can find it. It eats that shell. If you're going to be successful and become your best you have to eat your shell. My father, not my grandfather, my father, when he was a very, very young man, if he wanted to get a drink of water right here at SLS, if SLS was back in the 60s, he would have had a separate water fountain to drink from. That was a shell that was put around the community that he grew up in. He was living in that shell, and others were living in that shell. We think about Dr. King's birthday being commemorated in just a few days, and you might remember that he died in 1968. I was born in 1974. So that means from 1974 to 1994, I was raised among people that had different shells. around them. Some of those shells made them happy that Dr. King was assassinated. Some of those shells made them devastated that Dr. King was assassinated. Some of those shells made them indifferent to the fact that he was assassinated. So by 1994, when I was 20 years old, I entered adulthood with all these people and their shells. Now, 1994's 20-year-olds are 2022's 40-year-olds, and they run the world. They're bankers and lawyers and politicians, and depending on those shells, it guides the way that they think. That's why it's no shock that we've had so much advancement in that area, and yet not a shock that people get choked out for selling new cigarettes. You see, in order for things to get better, sometimes you have to eat your own shell. That way of thinking that guided you as a young person, you consume it, and you appreciate the love that may have been behind that message, but we can't fit in that shell anymore, can we? You have to consume that shell to grow. That's why here at SLS, it's so impressive and it's commonly remarked upon. You're so unified. There's so much cultural inclusion. Seems like you all just get along. You don't see that often nowadays. But we see it here because from the top, sides, middle, all over the organization, we've consumed the shells of small-minded thinking. See, some of those shells that we grew up in, they tell us crazy things. Have you ever heard of the shell that says you're never going to amount to anything? Because I never amounted to anything. What a painful and untrue thing to say to a child. What a limiting comment. Are you going to stay in that shell? See, if we stay in these shells that may have been given to us, this is the best that our parents had to offer. You know, sometimes parents are just the best parents they can be. But sometimes the template that they had to draw from wasn't that great in and of itself. So they give us the best they have to offer, but it doesn't mean what they give is good. You may have had a shell that defined you because of how you look. Well, you're never going to amount to anything because successful people look like this. And you clearly look like that. You see, you have to consume that shell, take what you can from it, and grow. If you're going to have the power to become your best you. And see, becoming your best you is a standard only you can set and only you can meet. Because it's not about comparing your best to someone else's. It's about getting to the place in your life that you are getting as strong and powerful as you can be based on your circumstances and then continuing to grow. Remember how that caterpillar molted 6 to 7 times? So it's not one process. Ooh, I grew, that's it. Nope, you keep outgrowing, keep consuming information, keep getting stronger, keep getting wiser, keep knowing how to apply this information, and next thing you know, that better you is enjoying a better life. Did you know a caterpillar had 12 eyes? You might think, boy, with all those eyes, a caterpillar just must be really good at looking at stuff. And you'd be wrong. Because the caterpillar has 12 eyes, but actually doesn't have very good vision. What it does have is a clear understanding of light and dark. All 12 of those eyes are simply helping it to sense light and dark. So how does that help you to experience metamorphosis? You have to have a clear moral compass. See, our eyes of vision have to understand lightness and darkness. We often see companies who have a mission statement for their business, but you need a mission statement for your life. What do you believe in? Have you ever asked yourself that question? Sometimes life moves so fast, we never have a chance to slow down and really even ask ourselves, what do I truly believe? Most of us have very conceptual beliefs about everything. And if we're asked to drill down even a little bit into our belief system, there's nothing there. Do you believe in God? I think so, a person might say. And then you ask a few more questions. I don't know, maybe I do, maybe I don't. Do you believe in capitalism, socialism? It's like, I don't know, I'm kind of open to everything. But if you're open to everything, you're open to anything. See, you have to have some idea of what you perceive as right and wrong. But then you have to measure what you perceive as right or wrong against something. You have to have basis. You have to have foundation. You have to have morality. If you don't have morality, that clear moral compass, light and dark, oh boy, you can get in all types of trouble. Next thing you know, you're writing policies you shouldn't write. Next thing you know, you can find yourself in some type of ethical dilemma. You can get into trouble with the Department of Insurance, or even deeper than that, trouble with the law itself, simply by being able to be led down any road, because you don't really have a clear vision of what your life is supposed to look like. See, if you're going to become your best you, first, you have to understand who you are now. That's how you identify the areas of your life that may need change, and then you effect change based on the things you have learned and the wisdom that you use to make application in these areas, so that you can outgrow your emotional clothes and grow into that better you. Does it make sense? See, if you're going to become your best you, there are more facts that you need to know about that caterpillar. Humans have 750 muscles. Caterpillar has 4,000. Little teeny tiny caterpillar. Muscle bound. Now, if you are wondering what's the lesson there, it's going to take strength to make these changes. It's going to take willpower to make these changes. It's going to take mental toughness, because as you are wrestling with your body, and you're wrestling with that moral compass, and you're wrestling with the things that you're learning, and you're wrestling when you are realizing, oh my goodness, I've been in a shell in this particular area of my life, and I gotta eat that shell and get out of here. It's gonna take mental toughness in order to be able to do that. How do you cultivate that? You cultivate mental toughness through mental exercises. See, the body will get all out of shape unless you work it out. And mentally, we will lose our strength unless we conduct mental exercises. See why that reading is so important? See why making sure what we read is accurate is so important. See why cultivating our memory can be really important. Don't become too reliant on Google. Can you believe there was a time that Google didn't exist? And people used to have to actually collect bits of knowledge and retain them? For some people, if you want to drop their IQ by 100 points, just take their phone. Because everything that they know is just whatever Google says. And everything on Google ain't true. So if we're going to be mentally tough, we've got to work on things that make us mentally strong. You know, my parents used to give us mental exercises, and we would read, and they would give us different books and magazines, and we had book reports in school, and then as you were riding along the highway, they'd say, what did you read last week? Oh, Dad, Mom, I read this. Tell me about that week. go through our different dissertations. And then they had a little courage exercise that they would do, which I thought was, at the time, was very intimidating, but it helped me later in life. So here was the little exercise that they did. They used to allow us to order our own food. So imagine all 7 of the Stewart kids there at the McDonald's register, and my dad would say, okay, ask them what they want. And it taught us to interact with adults. And you had to be quick and efficient. You couldn't be sitting there, I think I want chicken nuggets. You say, no, don't think what you want. Know what you want. So you go there, you have your order up here. I'm going to talk to these adults. And you give your order. Now you're sitting there eating, and sometimes you see a little tear going down our cheek. You say, what's wrong? And we say, we didn't get what we wanted. Everything was moving so fast. My dad said, what'd you ask for? I asked for a cheeseburger. What'd you get? I got a cheeseburger. But it doesn't have enough ketchup on it. It doesn't have enough pickles on it. My dad said, well, did you ask for ketchup and pickles? I said, no, I asked for a cheeseburger. Well, you got what you asked for. If you wanted extra ketchup and extra pickles, you should have asked for it. So here's what I want you to do. Go up to the counter and ask for what you want. I'll be right here supporting you from the seat. We take our hamburger back up there and, sir, ma'am, I don't mean to be rude, but I'm not enjoying this hamburger at all. They say, son, what's wrong with it? We open it up. Well, there's not enough ketchup. I wanted some more pickles. And they say, well, hold on one second, young man. I'm going to make one just the way you like it. And we look back at our dad, he'd be back there. We give him, and we learn a lesson. See, if you ask for it, there's no hope of getting it unless you ask for it. And you have to have the courage to ask for what you want. It's a good mental exercise, isn't it? You see, if we don't have mental toughness, we'll give up on just about anything. Sometimes when we are struggling to get 5 or 6 or 7 hours of talk time, it's not the physical wear and tear of what we do. It's not that we are ditch diggers and we're just coming home physically exhausted. It's the mental side of it. I can't overcome adversity. These people are so mean. I just can't. And the next thing you know, we're off of the phone and we're looking for something easier. The mind says, we don't want a mental workout. Go find something that's more relaxing and enjoyable. Social media, that doesn't take a lot of thought. You just swipe and look at stuff. And that makes us mentally weak. And if you're mentally weak, how will you ever have strong income? Make sense? See, to become our best us, we've got to have mental toughness. And we can't reject the people that are trying to increase our strength. Some of us feel like, oh, my team builder, my coach, they're bothering me again. Well, why are they bothering you? Are you making a bunch of phone calls and they're calling you saying, hey, get off the phone and come to the movies with me? No, they're usually contacting you to encourage you for the good things that you're doing or to help you achieve metamorphosis. We don't want you to be this person that has 1 hour of talk time and has financial trouble and is always upset. We want you to change to this person that's mentally tough. We want you to make silk. Caterpillars make silk. And for many years, silk was one of the most valuable things that you could put your hands on. It created trade markets that were the foundation for dynasties, and billions of dollars were generated over silk. You see, if you want to become your best you have to be prosperous. You have to. Being broke is not an option. Bad things happen to broke people. Trust me, I know, I used to be broke. Broke people are not in position to defend their family the way a person with means can. You have to. It is mandated. You must. It is necessary. It is required for you to be prosperous if you're going to become your best you. And this is where one of those shells can get you in trouble. Have you ever heard rich people are bad? Have you ever heard that, money's the root of all evil? Wait. Now, the love of money can get you in trouble. Anybody who's willing to do anything to get money can be bad. But having money in and of itself is not bad. You might have to be reminded of that, because when you get money and other people around you don't have money, there's typically one of two responses. Response number one, hey, you got some money. Can I have some? And if you say, no, I think I want to keep my money. Response number two is, then forget you then. You're a terrible person because you don't want to share this money with me. Which makes you try to go back to default one and buy these people back off. Well, maybe if I give them some money, they'll like me again. And they will until you stop giving them money. Then they'll go back to option number two. See, we've got to be prosperous, but we have to remain prosperous. And the way that you do that is if you find yourself around people who hate when you're great, you need to find a whole another circle of people. If you're in a group of people that make you apologize for what you have, you're in the wrong group of people. If you're in a group of people that will make you not even comment on your success, because if you say anything good that's happening in your life, everybody's nose goes up in the air. You need to find another circle. See, you have to be prosperous. There's just no choice. But it doesn't mean that you have to remain with the same group of people that you are around right now. In fact, part of that growth, part of that molting process is when you put on your new emotional clothes, that's what you sometimes start to notice about the way people are dressed emotionally around you. You start to realize that as much as you're going to miss them, in order for you to be successful, you've got to leave that circle. And if you feel guilty about that, don't. Because guess what all of your friends and family have an opportunity to do as well. They can go through that same process of metamorphosis. Can they not? But you know, caterpillars turn into butterflies, don't they? And what's the lesson in that? See, we got to learn to fly. And 2022 is going to be the year that all of us are flying together. We're going to spread our wings and go and grow. Why? Because things have never been better, never been stronger. The soil has never been more fertile for us to be successful. There's never been more of a unified effort. We've never been stronger. We've never been wiser. We've never been more emotionally mature. We've never been more conscious of the things in our life that limit us and keep us from growing. We've never been in a better position to value who we are, and yet be aware that we can get better and not be offended by the process. You are valuable just as you are. You are precious just as you are. You are valued to us as an organization in your current state. So never feel unappreciated. Never feel looked down upon. Because everyone in all levels of leadership, they feel warmly about you. They're looking for your success and they want you to get better. But we need your help. We need you to understand that we know you want to grow. We know that you want to get better. But in order to do that, you might need some thoughts, some comments from us. So we ask you, if we come to you and we say, you are valuable, you are precious, but we see an area that you can grow. And it's going to help you to prosper. And it's going to help you to reach levels in your life that you never thought possible. But there's some knowledge that we need you to consume. Will you be willing? Will you be open-minded? Are you ready for change, like we heard earlier? Are you willing to follow the system? Are you willing to answer the call? Are you willing to put aside everything you know, everything you think you know, in exchange for a chance to become your best you? If so, we're looking forward to seeing you become your best you in 2022, and we hope that the remainder of this program this weekend aids you down that